What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 17 of Perhaps. So today, I'm going to talk a bit about Trump's first 100 days in office, some of my thoughts around that. I think this one will be kind of a short and sweet one. But before we get to that, and trust me, you'll want to stick around because I think you might hear a perspective you haven't heard somewhere else. But before we get to that, we got to talk about something coming up in October. Check it out. October 16th to the 18th is Theology Beer Camp. I'm going to be there. It's in St. Paul, Minnesota this year. Every year it's somewhere else. But Trip Fuller of the Homebrewed Christianity podcast, which is a podcast that I was listening to since like 2012, but it existed even before that. But it's like a very long running, very popular, awesome podcast that has been interviewing really cool theologians and academics and philosophers and authors, creative people for a very long time. And I even went on one time and hung out with Trip Fuller, but Trip has started putting on this event called Theology Beer Camp. Homebrewed Christianity, it's all within the theme. Homebrewed meaning like beer that's homebrewed, being able to listen to these other perspectives of people much smarter than us, or maybe a better way to put it is much more committed to these different perspectives than us, doing all that research and work to bring to light some healthier versions of Christianity, but also much more thought out versions of Christianity, much more rooted in modern scholarship and history and justice work. And it's an awesome environment to be in, because when you hang out with those kind of people, you realize like, oh, whoa, I think the version of Christianity I grew up knowing was just a very small corner. And there's actually all these voices that are talking about it in a way that is actually way more inspiring. And so I've gone the last 2 years, and every year they'll have podcasters and academics that are part of these panels and talks sessions together. There's many different panels and sessions throughout the couple days there. And I've gone as a podcaster, but really like I kind of snuck in a bit like as a YouTuber. They let me come in as a podcaster, and I've been really grateful for that. Actually, the very first episode of this podcast, I talked a bit about my experience at the last one. But guess what, y'all? You're listening to this, right? You're watching this, right? I'm a podcaster now. I got a podcast, Perhaps, with Damon Garcia. It's a real thing, and we're on episode 17. This is a lifestyle now, people. Every Friday, people. We haven't missed one yet. So I'm a podcaster now with the other podcasters, and I'm really excited to go. I met a lot of really cool people there, and of course, there's amazing speakers. Let's see, this year they got John Dominic Crossan. Really cool. I might say some names that none of you know, but those who do know will be like, oh my God, let's go. Kelly Brown Douglas, Reggie Williams, Adam Clark, Philip Clayton, Grace G. Sun Kim, Catherine Keller. Who else? Let me see. That's, and a bunch of other people. Me, as one of the podcasters, I'll probably be on like maybe a panel or something, but I'll be there hanging out. So if you want to go and hang out with cool people like that, hang out with me, hear some really inspiring ideas, and hopefully find a community through these people coming from all over the country, then check out theologybeer.camp. There's a bunch of information on there. Get your tickets. I think early bird prices are done in like a couple of weeks, probably a week and a half. So go check that out. Thank you. This is the first time I ever did a plug at the beginning of a podcast. I feel like that was a little rambly, but It's okay. It's a podcast. We out here. That felt good. I told y'all I'm a real podcaster now. This is what I do. And this episode is sponsored by you guys, by y'all on the Patreon. I forget to plug that all the time too. Patreon.com/Damon Garcia. We're just getting all the plugs out of the way. Now that I'm in the headspace of plugging. Patreon. Go check that out. Subscribe. $5 a month. You get bonus episodes of this podcast on there. So far, we got 2 up there. I'm going to do another one this month. And you can also support simply by listening, sharing, commenting, leaving a rating and a review. I appreciate it all. And now let's take off the plug hat and put on the podcaster guy hat and get into it. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. Perhaps episode 17. I think it's been 113 days. I looked it up earlier because I wanted to know how many days we've been doing this podcast. And it's been 100 days of the Trump presidency. And initially, as I was thinking of what to talk about in this episode, I realized that, that would be a good idea because that's in the news right now. And I was reading a lot of different articles about it, and I was originally planning on, let's give a bit of an overview like other people have. But then I just got depressed. The more articles I read of these different takes on the first 100 days, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to talk about this. And then I decided, you know what? There's enough people out there giving overviews. Y'all probably know a bit of some of the tragedy that this whole presidency has been. Travesty, even. Devastation. Mess. What else? Hell. That's a strong word. That's useful sometimes. And so I just wanted to give a bit of my thoughts. But first of all, something I will mention is I think as we see the harm that Trump is causing through different policies like the changing in policies in order to give ICE more power for mass deportations and to imprison immigrants in these camps with no due process. Also cutting foreign aid, cutting all these government programs, firing of hundreds of thousands, if not more, of federal workers, costing the government just as much as they said they would save. I think that they said Doge would save like 150 billion. I read that so far they've had to spend like 130 something billion just because of the fallout of firing all these workers and having to rehire people and the other things they have to pay for, and as a result of losing all those workers. And also, along with those policies, screwing over a lot of unions in our country, and cutting programs that some unions had for collective bargaining, cutting that off, cutting off DEI programs, which also includes these programs where people were able to report harassment. It's affecting all workers. Also, tariffs, which is leading to more and more and more inflation. Stagflation is a word people are talking these days. The stagnation and the downturn of the economy. I gotta take a breath when I'm going through all this. Defying court orders, cutting public funding for education, deporting people for speaking out against Israel, for simply supporting Palestine, really. arresting judges, putting this, oh my God, like putting this on to perspective through, I mean, imagine me reading these articles where it's like the first 100 days and it's just like thing after thing after thing. And it's like, what are we doing here? But at one point I did want to make, you're not crazy, people, for thinking that these are unprecedented times, that this is a nightmare that we're facing. And there's a lot of Trump fans that are starting to finally understand some of what people were warning them about when it comes to Trump. But there's a lot that are still like, nah, just wait for it. It's all going according to plan. Trump's got it all figured out. Elon Musk got it all figured out. And just ignoring all the fires. And so, literal and metaphorical. And so, I want y'all to know, like, no, if you're panicking, that's normal. That's what's normal. This isn't normal. The government, the way it's falling apart, is not normal. And what's funny, when it comes to like the political camp that I usually find myself in, like leftists, people who are critical of capitalism, critical of the government, seeing it as simply an extension of capitalism, critical of both parties because of the way that they serve capitalist interests, critical of these corporations that are furthering monopolies in cahoots with the government, critical of the whole system. People in this camp that I find myself in usually are the ones to talk about how this government needs to be dismantled. And I was going to say, what's funny is, yeah, the government's being dismantled. But it's like, we didn't want it to be like this. And here's what's wild about people from multiple political angles being anti-government, I'm doing air quotes, anti-government, anti-establishment, anti-system, that vague political rhetoric, is that some people are against the government because they want to give the free market more power, while others are against the government, like people that I align more with, are against the government because they see it as simply a tool for the free capitalist market that continues to exploit workers to make the rich richer, and want to dismantle the government so that the people have more power, not the market have more power. And so that's how you can get people on these two sides. And sometimes people could try to horseshoe theory it. You ever hear that term where it's like you see a horseshoe, two sides, like on the same plane, on the same level, the two ends of a horseshoe. And people say like, oh yeah, they're just the same. Just on the same level. They're the extreme right and the extreme left are exactly the same, is what people try to say. And one of the reasons they try to say that is because of this similar rhetoric of being against the government. Also a bit of a populist message of like, we need to give freedom to the people and dismantle the government. You can hear that rhetoric from both extreme right and extreme left. But one, they mean something totally different, which is what I'm starting to explain right now. But two, that anti-establishment populist message started from the left and was co-opted by the right in order to sneak in this neoliberal, uber capitalist agenda. In order to say like, oh yeah, I mean, you see this with the Reaganomics, to say like, we just need to get rid of regulations on big businesses, give freedom to the businessmen, and that will eventually lead to, what was that term? All boats rising with the tide. That will lead to the wealth trickling down to the rest of us. You just have to give the ruling class, the owners, the capitalists freedom, and then they'll give us the freedom that we desire. Hasn't worked. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And some of these regulations on businesses and capitalists were put in place in order to protect us from furthering the agenda of paying us what they want, working us however they want, giving us the resources or not giving us the resources however they want. And so I know it could sound a bit like your drunk uncle who gets in a conspiracy theory fit, an anti-government conspiracy theory fit. But I'm talking about all this because I was thinking earlier today, like, yeah, the government is falling apart, but isn't that what we wanted? Yes, but not like this. Because it's just giving capitalists more and more and more power, not the people. And people who are against big government, against the establishment, against the system, against the deep state, all these terms you hear thrown around today, should be in favor of that power, when we take it away, being given more to people, communities, workers. Not simply to businesses who say, no, trust us, we'll help you out. And so the other reason I get into all this is because there's a strategy here when we see Trump doing harm. It's not just because Trump is a bad guy. Trump is a big meanie. Not at all. And that's how some critics of Trump, it's like they get stuck there and don't want to see the bigger picture and realize who is benefiting from these policies. Who's getting their pockets filled from these policies. And I think what we're seeing is an agenda to further privatize resources. I mean, there's the public sector, which is like stuff that's a public good, free for all of us, non-market. And then private sector is market. It's commodities bought and sold by companies that are privately owned by people, individuals. But we're seeing this old Republican strategy, which, I mean, yeah, it's been supported by both Republicans and Democrats, but I think over the last few terms we've seen it more from Republicans, which is to defund government programs with the argument that it's not working, it's not helping, it's a mess. And then they succeed, and then a few years later it's like, oh no, we need to keep defunding because it's not working, it's a mess. But again and again, what we see is the reason it's such a mess is because it keeps getting defunded. So they say that about Social Security, public health care, public education, It's like, it's not working, people. We need to defund it because it's not working. We need to defund again. A few years later, it's even worse. This must mean that we need to defund it even more, or at least just say no to funding it at all. Funding it more. And so, that's what we see in a lot of these arguments between these politicians. Is there's a cool few out there who are saying, oh yeah, let's get healthcare, let's get housing, let's get education, let's get better benefits, more social programs. And then it gets shot down by Congress and shot down by most of these political leaders who are in higher positions of power, including the president, and it's just like, yeah, it's a mess because you keep defunding it. But the fans of these politicians they just buy into it and don't stop and think and try to come up with a bigger reason for why some of these government programs are such a mess. And so, using this old strategy, Trump and Musk are like, yeah, these government programs clearly aren't working. Social Security is not working. People are defrauding Social Security. All these different government programs and charities and foreign aid, it's just not working. So what do we need to do? And not reorganize things. Just take away the money, fire a bunch of people. And what is the result? Is it's going to get even worse. Those government programs are defunded. And then you got to think, okay, then what comes after that? Eventually, if everything goes according to plan, a full defunding. And then what happens after that? You take it to the market. You privatize it. With the justification that the government sucks. The government sucks at giving us health care. The government sucks at giving us Social Security. The government sucks at giving us education, giving us housing. And so we need to just fully privatize it in order to to strengthen capitalist markets that already exist, but also to create new markets. And that's why you have these billionaires around Trump who are given free rein to enact this agenda that's two-sided, that's able to excite people about like, oh yeah, we're dismantling the corrupt government, the deep state, the swamp, yeah, let's go. While at the same time, behind their back, the other hand behind their back is like, cool, more money for us, more of market share for us. First one to get a monopoly on that. Peter Thiel, who was J.D. Vance's mentor, really responsible for his political career, and helped start PayPal with Elon Musk, and big Trump supporter, and is very, very in Trump's government right now, and is the co-founder of Palantir, this big tech company that right now is making a lot of AI products that are being sold to a bunch of different government agencies. But recently, I just read this today, he was paid, actually, let me look this up real quick. I want to get the exact number. Okay, yeah, so Palantir has been contracted by ICE for more than a decade, also under Obama and Biden. And in mid-April, they're paid $30 million to create an app or a platform, a software called the Immigration Lifecycle Operating System, or Immigration OS. And it's supposed to give ICE near real-time visibility on people self-deporting from the U.S. according to those records. It will also help the agency track and manage deportations, monitor visa overstays, and target transnational criminal organizations. I'm reading this from a Axios article right now. But think about this, people. As Palantir continues to through their AI services, and also OpenAI and other big AI tech companies continue to gather our data. It's like they're selling us this convenience, selling us this like use our product, enter in your information, let AI think for you, let AI work for you so you don't have to. But on the other end, using you and your data as a product as well to sell to government agencies like ICE. It's this two-sided thing that results in an agenda we've seen again and again, especially after 9/11, where we give up our liberties in order for a perceived security that ultimately just makes capitalists like this richer and more powerful. And we're going to keep seeing it more and more in Trump's presidency and other people working in his administration. Continuing to fearmonger about these big threats, whether it's from South America or China or wherever else, and told that we need to give up our freedoms, or we need to be cool with tariffs, be cool with strengthening surveillance against all citizens, deporting people even if by mistake, told that we need to be okay with that, and furthering taking away our liberties, all to protect us, all to just protect us from perceived threats, whether that's immigrants or terrorists, criminals, war with other countries. It's all an agenda that you can start to see when you get out of this like horseshoe theory stuff, when you get out of this like Republican versus Democrat stuff, when you get out of this like elites. It's the elites, the new elites, the old elites, the swamp, the deep state. Yeah, this is definitely a lot more ranty than I was planning for it to be. But this is just what I'm thinking about today as I was just like reading through these articles about Trump's first 100 days, and then it just made me think about all this stuff. And I actually, now I'm ranting way more than I planned to. I didn't even write that many notes because it was just like, all right, I get it. It's been terrible. And I don't just want to be like, yeah, it's terrible. I just want to be able to give y'all a bigger picture of what's going on and assure you, again, you're not crazy. If you're panicking, that's normal. This is what's going on, people. And I also wanted to read something from the Bible. That whole Lent series got me reading the Bible again recently. I'm like, now my mind goes there quicker than usual. And before I read that, I want to say You may be around people that don't seem to be panicking as much. Or maybe you feel like, should I be panicking more? Like, actually, you've just been avoiding the news because it's depressing and I feel kind of bad about it. Maybe that's you. But I think a lot of us do feel some sort of difference between us and our peers at times, whether we're panicking more or they're panicking more. And it can get a little confusing. And you start to wonder, like, do people actually care? But I think what we're seeing is that there's a lot of people who are able to have an more immediate, imminent realization of how awful things are going because they're in a position to be affected by it, by these different changes. Like something I was thinking about is abortion. You don't hear abortion talked about as much, or rather, I don't hear abortion talked about as much right now. Want to know why? Because I'm a dude, first of all. Second of all, I'm single. So, not only can I not get pregnant, but no threat of getting someone else pregnant right now. And 3, the most important one, I'm in California. So, abortion's safe over here. And there are times where I forget, like, oh my God, no, that's still a thing too that we need to be fighting for. Abortion rights. But at the same time, and sometimes I feel bad about that. It's like, oh yeah, crap, that's still part of the fight too. And yet people in other states, they're not able to just forget about it casually like I am. And I think there are different things like that too, where it's like those who you or a family member are a federal worker who lost their job, or you have friends or family members or church members or community members, neighbors who are immigrants who are under threat of deportation right now. There are all these different positions in life that can expose you to this nightmare more than what others experience. And I think it can get confusing sometimes where it's like, aren't people noticing what's going on? And yet people who are in more privileged positions are able to just be like, oh yeah, I'm ignoring the news. It's just depressing. I'm trying not to think about it. I'm trying not to pay attention, which is like understandable as we're all like going through our own anxieties and insecurities and are trying to be as stable as possible, but it's not easy for everyone else. And so it made me think, there's this verse or this passage in Luke 1, after Mary finds out she's pregnant, she sings this song, and they call it today the Magnificat. Shout out the homies at the Magnificast podcast. Great Christian leftist podcast. Go check that out too. But she says, let me read this. Classic prayer, especially for like the Christian leftists out there. It is what it says. And Mary said, my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed, for the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. Now here's the part that I want to focus on. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever. Now, that bit there about God bringing down the powerful from their thrones, lifting up the lowly, sending the rich away empty, filling the hungry. In these circles of people who care a lot about their faith and justice, This is like one of the most famous Bible passages quoted in those spaces. And I've quoted it several times in multiple videos, sermons, articles. I think, it's in my book, The God Who Riots, behind me there on the wall. Go buy it, my book. Check it out. And the thing is, if we like try to really get earthy here, material, physical, practical, down to earth, grounded, not overly spiritualize this passage, we could stop and realize this is very radical, very revolutionary, even violent. God bringing down the powerful from their thrones. That's by force. Lifting up the lowly. In other words, also like flipping the power dynamic. Or Jesus says that the last will be first and the first will be last. But then also sending the rich away empty. Like, think about Mary getting pregnant with Jesus, having this radical vision. And she's also quoting different verses throughout the Old Testament, including Hannah's song in 1 Samuel when she's pregnant with Samuel. And so this is like an ancient Jewish prophetic vision of God making the world right by bringing down the powerful, dismantling this empire, and making the world right by lifting up the oppressed and flipping that power dynamic upside down or right side up. And I imagine, like, can you imagine people her day, if anyone would have been like, Mary, that's a little too much. Have you tried protesting? Have you tried, like, moving away from the Roman Empire? Have you tried, like, just praying that, like, we'll have a better Caesar, the next Caesar around? Have you tried, like... Mary knows the only way this is gonna really get fixed is by this whole system coming down. And everything needs to radically change. Not just new people in charge of this system, but the whole system. And again, like I said earlier, it's funny being in the political camp that usually is down for talking about dismantling the government. And now it's happening, and it's like, whoa, not like this though. The type of dismantling I'm trying to see is one that lifts up the lowly, feeds the hungry, gives more power to people. And it also sucks that even me saying what I'm saying right now, and this very careful, particular way, it can potentially get me in trouble in this government. Even though I'm trying to say it in this very careful, tame way. But man, it's getting worse, y'all. And we'll see what happens. Pretty sure I'm safe for now. But hey, y'all, come on, people. I'm just a preacher, Bible reader, born again Christian guy. I'm not saying anything about the government. I'm just like Y'all know, right? Y'all know that. Y'all know I'm just trying to make America great again. I'm just vibing. I'm just yapping over here. I don't really mean it. We'll see what happens, y'all. But my friends, like I said, it is getting worse. But also at the same time, have hope. Because I think a lot more people are starting to realize that this system isn't working. And what's after that? Is people coming together and being like, yeah, we need to do something different. Everything needs to radically change. And when people can start coming together, sharing those grievances, sharing those struggles together, we can start to build communities. We can start to build movements that can organize and try to do something about it locally, help those who are especially harmed right now by the policies in the Trump administration, and slowly start to come together with everyone else slowly coming together. And we'll see what happens from there. That's all I'll say for now. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for listening. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.